Welcome back to Podcast Answers, the show where I help you start and grow your podcast, answering any podcasting questions along the way. That's right. Today we are talking more about podcasting questions. Guys, I really hope that your summer's been good. For me, it's back to school this week. We had back to school for our kids, and it's just kind of, man, life changes. I have 4 kids, and 2 of them have graduated, and this week starting those last 2 off to school was just kind of a reminder how fast life goes. And so, yeah, but today I am back with you, and I'm back chatting. We're talking today a little bit about how to turn casual listeners into fans. And that's right. Today, you've spent a lot of time trying to get somebody to listen to your podcast. Congratulations, they finally did. Now, what are you going to do with them? So today we are going to be chatting about I've got a 5-step strategy here for you to take from a stranger, listener, regular listener, fan, to an advocate for your podcast. And that's really what we all want, right? Somebody who's going to be an advocate for your podcast and going to be willing to not just be a fan. A fan is somebody who loves what you do and loves all of the things like that. But an advocate actually goes one step further and helps promote your show, which is really what we all want, right? All want someone to promote the show. We want them to go and be a listener of our show, and that's really what we all want. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the uncomfortable truth, guys. A lot of podcasters focus most entirely on getting people to discover their show. They spend so much time on SEO and social media and thumbnails and clips and guest promotion and advertising and podcast directories and all of these things. But once somebody actually listens, what happens? We focus so much on those things, but how do we turn those listeners that we just got from SEO, from searching for our show, from the social media, the thumbnails, the clips, the guest promotion, the advertising, all of the stuff? How do we get people to actually stay listeners, and not just listeners, but advocates of the show? Somebody's going to go out and tell other people about your show, about the things that you want them to learn about them, promoting your show. So first reason is you got to give them a reason to come back. Why should they listen to another episode? A listener shouldn't have to guess what they're going to get from your show. For me, I could just say we talk about podcasting, and I say that on the show, like I help people start and grow their podcast, and that's a good reason. That's a good way to give them a reason to come back, to learn more about that. But the other thing that you could say is every week Podcast Answers helps you solve a real problem that you're having with your podcast. And in fact, that might be something that I switched the tagline to, because it's something, it's a reason to come back. It's not just, oh, we talk about podcasting. Because guys, there's shows about podcasting. There's lots of other people who talk about podcasting. What makes Podcast Answers unique? What makes your show unique? What makes people want to come back to your show? So it helps give you clarity. If someone understands what they're going to get for you, it makes it easier for them to want to become a regular listener. If they know, for instance, that every week Podcast Answers helps you solve real problems that you're having with your podcast. Real problems, guys. We help you solve them. That gives people a reason to come back. Now, secondly, let's make the listener feel like you're talking to them. So there's a huge difference between, today we're going to talk about podcast promotion, to you've released 30 episodes, you've posted them everywhere, and you're still wondering why nobody seems to be listening. That second example there makes people think, that's me. If I just say, today we're going to do this, today I'm going to talk about this, that's all about me as the podcaster. That's all about what I can provide to to me. Like it's all about me. Whereas if you say the second thing where we say that we're going to you've released episodes, you've done this everywhere, you've done this, you've done that, it makes it unique to them. It makes people want to come back because you're talking directly to them. When people identify the fact that you have a relationship as a podcaster, you're creating a relationship with your listeners. It's not just about you sitting behind a desk. Guys, I'm sitting behind a desk right now, but it's not just about me and this desk and things like that. It's about you, the listener. And I can't name everybody that listens to the show. I would love to be able to do that, but I can't do that. I can't list everybody that may come to this show and the listen to the show. I would love to do that, but I simply can't. I don't know everybody, and I don't know what I don't know them. But it if I talk to you, that's going to make a connection to you. You're going to want to come back because I, Andy, am talking to you, listener, not just generic anybody who may come to the show. Next, we need to give them a reason to trust you. Because again, I talk about that there are lots of different podcast shows about podcasting, and whatever your show may be about. Your show may be about geocaching. Your show may be about rock collecting. Your show may be about who knows what it's about. But there are lots of other shows about that. Your show isn't unique in that. Like most likely there's another podcast out there that's talking about the same things that you're talking about. And so why would your listeners want to trust you? Give them a reason to trust you. People don't become fans simply because you have good information. I have good information, but same thing with all of the other podcasts about podcasting. They all have really good information about podcasting, but why would my listeners want to come to my show? So they can earn trust from lots of different things. Experience, honesty, admitting mistakes, sharing things that didn't work, being willing to say, I don't know. And so a lot of this is because you don't have to be the expert in everything. Like some of the best shows that I've listened to are shows where people say, I want to know how to do this. And so they create a podcast, they create a show and teach people what they're learning along the way, because it's you're taking them on this journey of what you're learning, and they can relate to that because it's something that they want to learn too. So your experience and you're admitting mistakes and sharing things that didn't work for you, it's going to build trust for people that are listening to your show. It's going to allow people to say, hey, I can trust Andy because I know that he's not only had experience podcasting. I've been podcasting since 2007, but that's not what makes my show unique. That's not what makes me unique. Lots of people have been podcasting since the beginning of time, the beginning of podcasting time. But what makes people want to experience me and have listened to my show? It's because I'm willing to say, hey, I don't know everything, but I'm willing to find out. Let's go on this journey together. Or I tried this. I tried doing something and it didn't really work. For instance, I tried doing the whole streaming Satoshi, streaming Bitcoin, and it worked for a little bit, but it stopped working. And so I don't promote that anymore. I don't go out of my way to talk about that. I mean, to help people. I'm telling you, hey, that didn't work. You don't always have to be the expert. You can say, I tried this, it didn't work, but here's what I'm learning about this. Because again, people are willing to trust you when they know that you're not perfect. People today love the fact that people are real. They're real people. When we have so much curated things, and hey, I'm a real person, I can't talk all the time. Curated content where everything looks good. People go on Instagram and it's these beauty filters and everyone has this perfect life. That's not real. That's not something you can sustain. People trust you for being you and being honest. The next thing that you can turn your casual listeners into raving fans is let them get to know you. This goes from where it's information to connection. This turns in from Oh, Andy talks about podcasting. Andy knows about podcasting. Hey, I know Andy. I know who he is, and I know I know him as a podcaster. Podcasting is this unique medium that you as the podcaster get to have direct access to somebody's ears and their brain. Now, again, I know not everybody's listening to podcasts when they're, with earbuds in. Some of them are listening in cars, but that's an intimate connection for you that you get to be with them in the car. You get to be with them in their ears as they're mowing the lawn. You get to be them right there in their kitchen as they're doing the dishes. Two podcasts can have essentially the same information, but people will often choose the one where they feel connected to the host. So, for instance, if you notice, I actually did this in the beginning of the show. Tell a little bit of a story. The beginning of this show or this episode, I said, hey, it's the end of summer, guys, and my kids are going back to school, and I've got 4 kids, but only 2 of them are in school now because the other ones are graduated, and my life is changing and getting used to these rhythms of life. That's a story. You can also tell opinions and humors and failure and little personal observations that you've been having, your perspective. Now, you don't need to turn your podcast into a diary. I have a podcast where it is Andy's audio journal. It's literally just a diary. You don't have to do that with everything because people will tune out. If they come to hear about podcasting and all I'm doing is talking about Andy's life experience, that's a different podcast. That's not why they tune in. But you don't have to sound like an encyclopedia either. You can talk in real life. You can say, hey, guys, I'm super tired because of this, because going back to school is a life change. I mean, I'm not going back to school, but my kids are, and it's changing their habits and the way that they're doing things. They have to shift from getting up at 9 a.m. to getting back up at 6 a.m. So people may discover you because of your information, but they stick around because of your personality. So allow that to shine in your podcast. Don't just become an encyclopedia. Allow your personality to shine and continue to let people to know who you are. Now, you can also create your raving fans by creating reoccurring things that people look forward to. So this could be a reoccurring segment, something that, for instance, in one of my other podcasts that I do, we do the Dudes and Dads pop quiz. Whenever we have a guest on, we do a pop quiz, which has nothing to do with the content of the podcast. But the great thing about it is we ask really wacky and wild questions. Like if you were stuck on a desert island and you had to only take one item with you, what would you take? It allows people to get to know the guests in a deeper, more personal way than just what the guests came on to talk about. That's a reoccurring segment. You can create listener questions, feature listener questions. That's one of the things, one of the reasons I started this show is because I wanted to answer people's podcasting questions. You can create weekly challenges or create some sort of a particular sign off, like have a great week and keep podcasting. That's one of the things that I do on this one. You can host monthly Q&As. Again, that goes along with the listener questions, but you can host monthly Q&As. Or for mine, I could do a podcasting myth of the week or feature a listener story, something that people look forward to. They get familiar with. They know that this is what Podcast Answers does, or this is whatever your show does. You can create a specific way that, people will say, oh, I love it when they do the Dudes and Dads pop quiz. That's one tiny step towards fandom. That's going to allow your listeners something that they know they can come back to. And it doesn't have to be permanent. You can do a segment for a while. You can say, oh, hey, I want to do a monthly Q&A for the next 3 months. Or I'm going to do listener questions on the first Monday of the month or whatever. But if at some point, if that doesn't become helpful for you and your show, you can change that and you can switch up to something different. Now, again, I would say talking directly to the listener will help with all of these things too. So you should say things like, here's what I want you to try this week. This changes the relationship. You're no longer just providing content, but you're participating in their journey. You're helping them along. You're giving them action items. So talking to your listener and giving them action items, things to do is helpful because it allows you to create that you're in this journey with them. Now, going back to the time when you're learning, you could say, like, let's say you are learning how to podcast. I could say, okay, we're gonna do this thing, and I want you to do this too. Or before next week's episode, I want you to ask 3 listeners what they most like about your podcast, and things like that. So if you talk directly to the listener and give them things to do, think about when you're talking face to face with somebody. A lot of times when I'm talking face to face with somebody, I say things along the lines of, hey, I think you should do this, or let's check in next week, and I can, let's check in next week and see if you're how you're going with that or what you learned. So do that with your listeners too. Also, give them a way to participate in the show. This could be something like sending a question in, leaving a voicemail, emailing you, join your community, attend a meetup, participate in the live stream, vote on future topics, submit a story, suggest an episode. These are all ways that you can help your listeners participate in this. For instance, you can call our voicemail, 574-501-4945, and just let me know about a podcasting question that you have. Is there podcasting fail? What did you do that didn't work out? Because for me, I've tried lots of things in my podcast and not everything worked out. I would like to hear what you did and didn't work out. That's a great way to give people ways to participate. Calling our voicemail, 501-4945, and you can leave that and be on the show too. So just definitely give people a way to participate in your show, making it a two-way street, not just Andy's broadcasting to you about podcasting, or John's giving you tips and tricks about how to rock collect. No, give them a way to give that back and be part of your show. Give your fans something to identify with too. Like this is where fandom gets really interesting, because I've heard of a lot of people that create names for the people that listen to their podcasts. They could be, for instance, there's a podcast, the VHS Club, talking about shows of the 80s and things like that, of movies of the 80s, and they call it, correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, but you call your guests the potatoes or the spuds. I think the spuds, there we go. I have no idea where that came from, but really that makes me interested in listening to the show to figure out why they call themselves the spuds. And not only that, but it makes me want to be part of something. So it could simply it could be something as simply as saying I'm a podcast answers listener. But when you create names and you say, "Hey, all you podcasties," or I don't know, that's a really bad one for this show. But when you give them a way to be part of your show and something to identify with, then it allows them to become bigger listeners. And same things too. Like I've seen some shows like the No Agenda shows. They have, if you donate a certain amount, you become a knight or a dame or other, something else where you're a sir. All of these, they have these special names for people who donate. That allows people to identify with other people who are listeners and become kind of like a fan club. Now, last a couple last things is also give them something to do besides just subscribing in your show too. This could be something like as easy as send me a question. Tell me what you're working on in your podcast. Give them a reason to call, make your call to action something that's going to be make them come back. And then also don't be afraid to invite them to come back. This sounds really obvious, but really at the end of your episode, you could say, next week, we're going to be talking about XYZ, and then say something like, I invite you to come back. I invite you to come back to listen to as us talking. Give them a reason to come back. So the final step is really turning your fans into advocates, which a fan tells other people about you, but an advocate is so much more than that. So again, you go from discovery to getting value to trusting you to connection to participation, and then they become an advocate. So I invite you to become an advocate for my show, an advocate for Podcast Answers. Go out and just tell people. Again, I would love to hear your podcasting journey, your story. Tell me a little bit about you. Call our voicemail 574-501-4945 and tell me about you and your podcasting journey. Guys, I am so glad that you're joining me on this journey. And again, I would love to answer any questions that you have on this show about podcasting at all. So you can contact me by going to podcastanswers.com/contact. And that'll get you in my inbox. That'll get you so you can ask me a question that I can tackle on next week's episode of Podcast Answers.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.